Hi there. So it's pretty exciting. The more time I spend out on my social media platforms, the more I get the question, hey, I'm new to woodworking, so which tool brand should I buy? Which is usually quickly followed by the question, should I buy this particular tool? So, and what tools do I need in my shop first? It's pretty exciting for someone that's been woodworking as long as I have that there's still a great interest in woodworking, and I think it's growing. So, but these are really two different particular topics. One, I'm going to give you some guides on how to pick and buy tools, what the right tools are, and then we're going to break it down to what you need in your shop as a second video. So let's get to it. Welcome back to the Woodcrafting Place, where we bring you woodworking knowledge each week to help you enjoy your time in the shop more, to make it more efficient and effective. So before I forget, just want to remind you that if you like the content of this video today, don't forget to hit the thumb and show us that you like what we did and we're bringing you the right content. And click on the bell and subscribe notifications. That way you get notified each week of all the content that we bring. So it lets us know that we're doing the right stuff. So you're ready to buy some tools, ready to fill up your shop. You're not sure which brand you should buy and what the right features or whatever, and it's kind of overwhelming because there's a lot on the market today. We're going to give you 5 basic principles that you need to make your selection. You might be a little surprised at some of the guidelines that they give you as far as picking out the tools, but like any woodworker, I'm a tool guy. I love getting new tools. It's like Christmas every time we get one. So the key is to make your dollars go farther and give you the most capacity in your shop. So tools like saws or drills, there's a huge range in the cost of what you can find available on the market. If you're looking for a circular saw, something like this basic circular saw will run you somewhere in the $30 to $50 range, depending on the model, the manufacturer, just for the basic saw. I was just flipping through the internet the other day, and there's actually a very similar saw from a very highly regarded brand, of really high-end saw, which basically does the same thing. It cuts a straight line for $500. Now, there's a lot of attachments, a lot of features that that saw has that this basic, simple saw doesn't. It has this zero dust evacuation system that you can hook up to it, and a nice track which you can hook up to it to cut a piece of plywood with less setup and what have you, but a straight edge clamp to a piece of plywood with this particular saw will do the exact same thing. Unless you're a professional who's using plywood for building cabinets all day and you cut hundreds of sheets of plywood, got it, it's needed. But this isn't what today's video is about. There's a lot of good reasons why you want to focus on buying the least expensive, cheap tool. That's right. Make your dollars go farther. So comparing some of the common tools to give you an idea of what the less expensive basic model affords you and gets you versus the high-end, more powerful, better tools, we'll call them better, okay, is if you purchase a drill and a impact driver and say a brad nailer, those are 3 very handy tools. When we go over what tools you're going to want in your shop in the next video, those will be 3 of the things that I key on that are really handy to have in a shop. So, but if you purchase, let's say Big Red brand, those 3 tools, or the yellow brand, I won't use their names, but you'll know who they are. You buy those 3 tools, you'll be somewhere clicking close to $480, somewhere in that neighborhood. For that same value, you'll be able to purchase a drill, impact driver, a flashlight, a inflator, let's see now, the nail gun, angle grinder, a circular saw, and one of these nifty Sawzall type saws. You will get all those tools, put a lot more capacity, a lot more capability in your shop, because we all know we only have limited, at least I do, limited dollars for buying tools. By the way, the first rule applies even more when it comes to small hand tools. Files, wrenches, ratchets, hammers, you name it. Won't get any more capability out of buying a set of snap-on wrenches than you will. It's an off-brand. Don't despair, because the quality of the Chinese tools has changed dramatically over the years. Even Big Red, the high-end, does manufacturing in China. So don't forget, if you like what you see in today's video, make sure you hit the thumb and like, and stay tuned to the very end, because at the end, I'm going to share with you my tried and true method for making sure you always pay a fair price for a used tool. So that'll be at the end, so make sure you stay tuned. The second guideline I'm going to give you today will help keep your tool spending down to a minimum. Okay, there's actually no need to spend more dollars on tools that you don't need or won't use the capacity, and that's really the guideline. Don't overbuy, and don't buy capacity, more capability or size or power than you actually need. All right, you know what the project is. Go out and find the tool, the basic tool. Again, rule number one is buy the cheap tool. Buy that cheap tool that has the capacity for what you're going to actually do, and don't buy any more. This miter saw here is a good example. I bought this 9 years ago for a deck I was building, and I've built two with it and many, many projects since. It's your basic 10-inch single bevel. Nothing special. It cuts straight, it cuts square, it's accurate and very dependable. The pivot is super stiff, and that way I could always depend. Once I get it zeroed in, it's exactly where I want it to be. There's a lot of very expensive, very fancy saws on the market of all the brands, especially the yellow one seems to be the preferred super duper saw. And there are this big 12-inch sliding saws that give you a lot of capacity to do things and cut pieces of wood that you might never need to cut, right? If you're doing framing or building a deck, this saw will cut everything up to a 4x4. What really more are you going to need? If you do, fine, buy the 12-inch. But I'm going to tell you, buy the single bevel like I have here instead of the sliding saw. And it's true of many tools. Don't buy more capacity than you need, especially in power tools. The manufacturers will sell you all the power, especially the horsepower and the torque and the hyperdrive, worm gear, blah, blah, blah. It's still just cutting through wood, drilling through wood, sanding wood. Buy what you need. Now we're into number 3. If you're considering buying tools, which you probably are because you're here, and you're not sure whether you want to buy cordless or corded, right? So the market's filled with both. If you were looking for, when you're looking for tools like saws, and we just talked a lot about the miter saw, that needs to go for a long time, you need it, or it needs to pull a lot of power. Saws use a lot of power, unlike drills, which actually don't use nearly as much power as a saw does. You want to give some serious consideration to corded. Okay, the cordless tools do not have nearly as much power as the corded. they have a battery by its very nature, has a very limited life. And just to give you an idea that if a saw has I looked, they're like anywhere between 7 and 15 amps. That's what the draw is on a saw. So that's how much electricity it uses an hour, 7 amp hours. Now, if you have a 4 milliamp battery, milliamp hours, in its capacity, and you have I believe, a 13 amp saw, you will get about roughly 12 minutes of runtime, steady runtime, with a 4 milliamp hour battery. Now, you won't run steady, so you'll get more than that. It's on and off, and the draw is not constant, right? The RPM are always going up and down, and you're stopping. And I've heard you can get up to 45 minutes in some of the really good batteries on the top end Sawzall, but that's it, one battery. You need to be using this all day. Battery's not the way to go. So, number 3, consider corded. Want more information on the materials and the tools that we used in today's video? You can look down below, which you'll find links, affiliate links for all the materials and tools that you saw today. So, these are affiliate links. They provide a small contribution to our channel to help us continue to bring the woodworking knowledge that we bring each week. Alright, so number 4. Remember, I promised you 5, so we're going to number 4. Number 4, if you are considering cordless, which, trust me, there are some tools that you'll buy cordless, which will be your go-to tool. This is right here on my workshop. I go to it all the time. I can get a lot of capacity out of this battery. A drill is much better for a cordless tool. So if you are looking to buy cordless, remember the number for cordless tools. The rule is it's all about the batteries. Tool's a tool, but it's all in the batteries. That's what's going to determine what you can do with all your tools. It really is in the battery. So here's another cordless drill, right? So once I have this tool and I have these batteries, any one of this brand will fit that battery. So if I have 2 of those batteries, I can have an entire workshop filled with tools, and they sell them without the battery to make them more affordable, filled with that brand tool, and that way you can use a host of tools on 2 batteries. Okay, and guideline number 5. No good tool buying guideline would be complete without touching on buying used tools. As I said, I often get questions from folks, should I buy this tool, should I buy that tool? And it's almost always has to do with should they buy a used tool, specifically power tools especially. Don't know if they're good buys, if they make sense, if they're worth it. So the answer is ultimately, should you buy a used tool or any used tool? Yes, but it depends, right? So you can get some really good deals on used tools, good, useful tools with a lot of life left on them for super cheap, as long as you pay attention to what you're getting, right? So here's a good example of a tool I picked up, good used tool, $5. This thing has been running awesome. I've had it for years. How could you go wrong? And speaking of which, here's another one. And when you look at this tool, you'll notice something. Not only is it all metal, and I look at the top, it's made in the USA. How many of those are they left around? So this heavy powerful used tool, which I think I picked up for $2, right? So I get it, I plug it in and make sure it runs. There's no sense in throwing $2 away or any amount of money. As long as it runs and all the functions work correctly, can't go wrong. But I say yes, buy a used tool with words of caution. You want to make sure that all the basic functions on those used tools are working. So if it's a power tool, does it turn on, does it turn off? Does the cutter or does the apparatus, the motor or whatever ways there are, does everything move freely, turn, and does it have full function the way it's supposed to? Let's say it's a table saw, because there's a huge number of used table saws on the market. So you want to check, blade go up and down, does it tilt all the way to 45 and come all the way back? Look the whole saw over. Surface dust, light, dusty finish, it's not something to worry about. You can easily clean that off, get it right back to being a perfectly clean, good saw. Dust that's actually flaking, that you can get your fingernail into, and you can feel depth where the rust is flaked away. Steer clear of those. Not worth it. You're buying used tools, or any tools. You're buying them with the intention of using them on a project. You're not buying them to be the project. And if it's an expensive tool, a table saw, a bandsaw, a drill press, a lathe, anything, before you buy it, go online and check to make sure that there's parts available, right? Because some of the older tools have limited part availability. The table saw I bought a couple years back, I bought it and was surprised. You cannot buy a replacement fence for it. So my $75 great buy table saw just became a $375 table saw because the aftermarket fence cost about $300. Now, how do you know if you're getting a good price? Well, some rules of thumb. The second someone brings a tool home and turns it on, just the very fact that they brought it home and turned it on will reduce the cost by 50%. That's my guideline. There's no science behind it. It is strictly the fact that if it's a $100 drill and you can go to the store for $100 and get the warranty for $100, why would you pay any more than 50% of the price of that tool to buy it with no warranty, right? It could, if it breaks or fails to operate the next day, you're out all the money that you spent on it. So I won't pay more than half for a brand new condition tool that's being sold by someone that's used. And when I mean used, I mean I don't get the warranty. Someone else purchased it and now I'm not getting the value of the warranty. So I start at 50%. Something that has a fair amount of use but still appears in almost new or very good condition, I will go down somewhere between 25–30% of the new cost. So let's just say you're talking about table saws. It's something I've done a lot of research on, and it's a $1,000 saw originally new, and someone has had it for a while and they've used it, but when you look at it, it still looks like it's in pretty good condition. You can tell it's been used, it's been well loved, and it's done its share of projects and they're selling it. That $1,000 saw is now about a $300 tool. And if it's really, really used, it looks like this. And you can see this thing has been heavily used. It's 10% and no more. So that tool, brand new tool, costs $100 or somewhere near $100, $80. 10% of that, $10, I wouldn't pay any more for a tool like that. I don't know how much life I'm going to get out of it. So I'm only going to pay the amount of money then it makes sense, right? Now, I will say that used tools are a great way to buy most hand tools. So if you're at a tag sale, yard sale, estate sale, and they have wrenches, ratchets, sockets, pliers, hammers, all that stuff, great place, because they really don't have a limit to useful life for the most part. Most tools don't. I'll put the exception on saws, hand saws. Those are great for wall ornaments, decorations, and nothing else. One note on power tools though, when you operate it, pay attention to the electric motor if it's either completely rusted through, or when you look at the brushes and the armature, if you see sparks flying out of the brushes, it's dying. Pay attention to that, or any noisy bearings. Those are also dying. So it's another tool you may either want to walk away from or really lowball because you're going to be doing some work. So that's it. Good luck finding those used tools. Go out and buy a tool and make something. I want to thank you for watching today's video all the way through. Really appreciate it. If you enjoyed what you saw today, don't forget, make sure you hit the thumb, like, and subscribe. That way you get notified each week of all the content that we bring to help you upgrade your woodworking knowledge. So really appreciate you watching. So we will see you again real soon.